Well, I was first diagnosed with celiac disease 20 years ago, and when I went shopping for gluten-free food, I could only shop the perimeter of the supermarket. And now, not only are there gluten-free sections in the supermarkets, but there's gluten-free products throughout the supermarkets. So things like cereals that you would eat every day that were not gluten-free now have a gluten-free counterpart. So we're seeing some of the mainstream products that we so love are available and gluten-free. And we're also seeing that some of the prices are lower now. And that's a good thing because consumers need to be able to afford the gluten-free products. We want to make sure that all across the United States that there are gluten-free products available, affordable, understood on the supermarket shelves. It's so much better to be healthy gluten-free than it is to be suffering needlessly.
Well, my daughter Olivia, who is turning 6, was diagnosed at 2.5 on our anniversary, and it was the day that we got the call from the doctor saying that Olivia had celiac disease. And my husband was wrecking off the road and his throat was closing up. He was thinking our life was over. And you know, I tried to calm him down. He was very upset and I was more like, well, at least I have an answer and it's just food. And we can do this.
One of the biggest mistakes I see with patients when they start shopping for gluten-free foods is that they forget all about those naturally gluten-free things. They become very sort of focused on replacing everything they've ever enjoyed. So replacing, you know, their pretzels and while that's very important, to not forget about those other naturally gluten-free things.
So Anna, what's a trip to the grocery store without shopping in the fruits and vegetable aisle?
So true, so true. One of our favorite aisles, my kids eat a lot of fruit. We love all kinds of berries, grapes, bananas. It's a go-to food. I chop it up, put in containers. It's a free food. They're allowed to eat them whenever they want. They're a healthy, quick snack.
And naturally gluten-free.
And naturally gluten-free, so that makes it very easy for us. Vegetables, we're still limited on vegetables. My kids are still young, 3, 5, and 7, so while I'm getting them to try new vegetables all the time, loving them is not, we're not quite there yet. But we do like peas, we have Brussels sprouts, broccoli, and one of my daughters enjoys typical salad.
I think it's good that you continue to try on vegetables. It can take up to 12 times, research shows, to get a kid to eat a vegetable, so don't panic.
Yes.
You've got plenty of time for your kids to eat vegetables. I did want to compliment how much your kids like fruits and vegetables because you've made some really great choices here that I just love. We'll start with those vegetables. This spinach and arugula mix is going to be high in iron, so green vegetables are a great way to get that. The best way to get the iron out of this, though, is to pair it with a food that's high in vitamin C. So my example here is your lemons that you've picked. I'm also loving the dark colors of your berries. Raspberries and blackberries, we know they're high in these phytochemicals that may help prevent chronic disease. So I absolutely love the fact that you're eating a lot of berries. And these tomatoes, also a great choice in terms of being high in vitamin C, high in vitamin A. Remember, the darker the color of the vegetable, so the more orangey, the more red, the darker orange red is always going to be the highest in those cancer fighting properties that we're always looking for. So I think your kids are making wonderful choices. People with celiac disease deal with a lot of nutritional deficiencies, mostly when they're diagnosed. Patients that have been sick for maybe a very short time have fewer deficiencies. People who have been sick for years may be deficient in a lot of things. But they can also develop deficiencies because some of our gluten-free foods are not as enriched and fortified as we would like them to be sometimes. And so they can develop deficiencies as part of the gluten-free diet.
So here we are at the gluten-free section of Walmart. You can see there's a whole great variety. But when we're looking at nutrition and we have to feed our families, tell me a little bit more about what we would look for on a label. How do we find nutritious gluten-free products?
Particularly because we're looking at prepackaged foods, you often deal with additional sodium. Crunchmaster for 15 crackers, so we look at that serving size first, very important. Of course, most people eat more than 15 Crunchmaster. Right. I know I would. So your serving size, yes, so your sodium content is 125 milligrams. It's actually really good for a cracker, especially one that has a little bit of a salty taste, which is kind of nice. The rule is under 300.
Right.
People on gluten-free diets tend to be really low in fiber. The reason being, when you give up grains, particularly wheat, you lose that great source of fiber that we always get. So what I recommend is that you always look for a good source of fiber. A good rule of thumb is the rule of 5. So 5 grams of fiber means it's a good source. So we look at fiber on the food label. So for a 3/4 cup of the cereal, you get 5 grams of dietary fiber.
Well, my kids really love these Glutino pretzel twists. How can we make a healthy snack with these?
Well, I'm a big fan of letting kids have pretzels because pretzels are such a fun kid food. It's very acceptable for many children. So make a little fun trail mix. You can even add a little bit of chocolate or chocolate chips or whatever you like to add. Kids really feel included when they're having pretzels because that's something that they see their friends eating. So it's great that they have that choice.
Okay, thank you.
You can find gluten-free products throughout the entire supermarket. You just don't have to find it in the gluten-free aisle anymore.
Sure. One thing sometimes that I get confused about is when different items, the package looks similar, and one is gluten-free and one is not. What is the best way to kind of make sure you're getting the non-gluten containing item?
It's a really great observation because packaging can be very similar, particularly when you're talking about brands.
And I really think it's important that with all the lessons that you're learning, that if you have a babysitter, grandparents, anybody that would be taking care of your kids,
Sure.
and even your kids themselves, that they really understand how to read the labels properly and really look for gluten-free products. Because as you can see, the colors can be really similar and
Yes.
can be confusing. And if they go to quickly grab a product off the shelf,
Exactly.
they may make a mistake. Now we're coming to one of my favorite aisles. Dairy products, yogurt, cheese are nutritious and delicious.
One thing though that a lot of people with celiac disease struggle with is secondary lactose intolerance. And so that's something to be really aware of when you're starting a gluten-free diet, particularly if you're not feeling better immediately. So many people start a gluten-free diet, they're on it for several weeks and they're like, I just don't feel better. But what's great about things like Cabot products is they are actually lactose-free. Of course, most cheese is gluten-free. So it can be a great option for those who need additional calcium in their diet. Everybody with celiac disease needs more calcium.
Well, this is our family's favorite aisle too. My kids love sour cream, yogurt, cheese.
And what I like to do is add, it's great, add nuts, add fruit, whatever is fresh in the produce aisle. You can get the raspberries and strawberries, cut them all up and make the
Exactly.
yogurt chunky and delicious.
Yes.
Wow, we got a ton of food here. Let's see what we got. So Anna, wow, your pantry looks great. I hope you're satisfied. We got lots of wonderful products, and it's really been a pleasure working with you.
Thank you. I'm really grateful for all the stuff that you provided, and I'm really thankful for all that you do, for families like ours. Thank you.